Hello my dear students, this is Prathana. Okay, have you ever noticed or have you ever observed while running, playing, dancing or doing any kind of exercise and all, why do we breathe faster or why does the heart beat faster? Do we feel warm while doing all these kinds of physical activities? And if so, why? Okay, today in this particular class we are going to learn how and why these things happen inside our body. এইখিনিতে মই এটা কথা কৈ থওঁ, আজিৰ এই পাঠটি অসমীয়া মিডিয়ামৰ ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীসকলৰ কাৰণে মই বেলেগকৈ অকল অসমীয়াতে এটা ক্লাছ লম. So this is only for the English medium students. Okay. So the topic that we are going to discuss today is circulatory system. Okay, so circulatory system, it is a part of the transportation part of the chapter 6 in your textbook, that is life processes. So it is a part of that particular chapter, and today we are going to discuss about the transportation. So first let's discuss about the transportation in case of human beings. Okay, now before I start the circulatory system in human beings, how does the blood flow through the heart, etc., and all these things about blood pressure and all we are going to discuss. But before that, I would like to ask you a few questions, because if those things are not clear to you, it will be difficult to understand the rest of the part. Okay, now the circulatory system in human beings is closed or open. Can you understand the difference between being closed and open? Closed means the blood flows through certain pipes or tubes inside a body, to say in simple language, and open means no such type of pipes or things actually not there. Blood is simply inside the body. Yes, human beings have closed circulatory system. They have closed circulatory system because their blood flows through certain tubes or valves, and that is called as the blood vessels. So what are the different types of blood vessels? Blood vessels, they are actually thicker blood vessels as well as thinner blood vessels. Blood vessels are certain pipes or tubes through which the blood flows. So there are different types. So the fattest among them are called as aorta as well as vena cava. One is called as the aorta, and same type of blood vessel is called as vena cava. Okay, now this aorta or vena cava bifurcate or trifurcate to form your veins. Vena cava bifurcates or trifurcates to form veins, and aorta bifurcates or trifurcates to form arteries. Now what is the meaning of bifurcate? That means if there is one pipe, this one pipe splits into two pipes. Then if this one pipe splits into two pipes, it is called as bifurcate, and if it splits into three parts, it is called as, if it is split into three parts, it is called as trifurcate. Okay, aorta bifurcates or trifurcates to form arteries. Okay, and vena cava bifurcates or trifurcates to form veins. These arteries further bifurcate or trifurcate to give rise to arterioles, and these veins again bifurcate or trifurcate to form venules, and then these venules and again bifurcate and trifurcate to give rise to capillaries. And arterioles also, it bifurcates or trifurcates to form capillaries. So capillaries are the thinnest blood vessel. Okay, capillaries are the thinnest vessel. It is so thin that it is just like its thickness is just like a strand of a hair. You know, it is very thick, and this capillary is very important. Why? Because capillary is the place where exchange of gases take place, which you will learn in the respiration part. Then in the capillaries only absorption of digested food also takes place. It is in the nutrition part. Again, the capillaries only. Here, there is a point to be noted that the aorta, artery and arterioles, it carries oxygen-rich blood or oxygenated blood. Whereas, vena cava, veins and venules, they carry deoxygenated blood or carbon dioxide rich blood. Okay. Now, what is the color of the blood flowing through the aorta, arteries or arterioles? It is red in color because it transports oxygen, and the blood flowing through the vena cava, veins and venules is bluish green. Okay. Now, all of you, can you in my hand only, can you notice notice my vein there? It is something like it is like the shape of the Y there. Okay. What is the color of it? If you cannot notice in my hand, please check in your own hands. Okay. So, what is the color of it? That Y-shaped vein. The color of it, if you notice carefully, it is bluish green. So, if by chance, if I cut this part, then the blood which comes out of it will be bluish green or red. Have you ever seen bluish green blood coming out of human beings? No? Okay. But here, then why is the color of the blood passing through these veins bluish green? This is because it is carrying deoxygenated blood. Means it is carrying blood which is carbon dioxide rich. So there are, okay, before I discuss this part, do you know what are the different components of blood? Okay, if those things are not clear, it will be a problem to understand the rest of the part. So we will discuss that. Okay, before that, let me tell you one thing. All arteries carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. Whereas all veins or vena cava venules carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein. Okay. So here one more thing to be noted is that whenever you come across the word pulmonary, you will know that it is associated with the lungs. Whenever you come across the word renal, you will know that it is associated with your kidneys or excretion. Whenever you come across the word cardiac, so it is associated with the heart and so on. Okay. Do you know what are the different components of blood? Okay. Blood has about these things you have already learned in class, but still I will once I will revise it so that the next part of it becomes easier for you to understand. Okay. Blood is mainly composed of two types of things. Okay. One is the blood corpuscles. Okay. One is the blood corpuscles and the other one is the fluid called as plasma. Okay. So, first thing is blood corpuscles. That means blood corpuscles or blood cells. So, blood corpuscles are of three types. That is the RBC, WBC and platelets. Okay. And plasma is the fluid. Okay. So, here if you see, blood corpuscles or blood cells are RBC means red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets. Okay, so RBCs are spherical in shape and RBC do not have nucleus. Okay, I will come to that. WBC are larger than the RBCs and they have of course nucleus, and then platelets are also lesser in number. So RBCs are highest in number and its size is also small, and many RBCs are present, and WBC are comparatively lesser than that of RBCs, whereas and also the size of the WBC is bigger than that of the RBC, and platelets are also fewer in number as compared to the RBCs. So RBCs or red blood cells. So is it possible for a cell to survive without the nucleus? Actually, RBCs originally they have the nucleus in them, but in order to accommodate more amount of oxygen or carbon dioxide, its nucleus is sent out of it. So RBCs, actually the function of RBC is to transport oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. So RBC contains a pigment called as hemoglobin, and that hemoglobin carries the oxygen or carbon dioxide through the blood. WBC, so function of WBC is to fight against the different diseases. So it produces antibodies and all to fight against the different diseases, or the to fight against the different germs which enters our body. And platelets, the function of platelets is to help in clotting of blood. Okay, so let's talk about the RBC first. So RBC actually, since it has to transport oxygen or carbon dioxide, so in order to accommodate more amount of oxygen or carbon dioxide, so the nucleus is sent out so that more amount of space is available inside the RBC. And the lifespan of RBC is 120 days. And also one more thing I would like to tell now, and spleen, which is an organ that is called as the graveyard of RBC. So these things are also important. Just if you keep it in mind, it will be good for you. Next, so WBC, there are different types of WBCs we will learn in the higher classes. Okay, so lymphocytes, monocytes, many things are there. I will not discuss this in much detail now. So platelets help in clotting of blood. So how does the platelet help in clotting of blood? So if there is any leakage or if there is any cut and then blood is coming out of this cut, then platelets, they form a net-like structure there. A net-like structure is formed there, and then the platelets, they secrete certain amount of proteins and all, and then some platelets, they come and then they stick to that net-like structure. Okay, when those platelets comes and sticks there, so ultimately that leakage which was produced because of the wound or because of the injury, it is sealed, as a result of which blood cannot ooze out. So that is how platelets, they help in blood clotting. Okay, now plasma. So plasma is what? Plasma is the fluid on which the different cells RBC, WBC and platelets are embedded. So it is a pale yellow color fluid. This plasma, it is a pale yellow color fluid. Pale yellow colored fluid or straw color. Straw, you know. So the color of the plasma is like that of the straw. And then what is the function of it? The function of plasma is to carry carbon dioxide, digested food or nitrogenous waste in dissolved form. Okay. Next. Okay. Now here, have you ever thought only the color of the RBC is red in color when the hemoglobin takes in the oxygen. Okay. And WBC is colorless, and platelets, on a stained blood smear, it appears as a purple spot. So stained blood smear means if you take a drop of blood and then if we have to put some kind of stain or dye in order to observe it under the microscope. So then it appears as purple spot. So the size of the platelets is 20 times bigger than that of the RBC. And compared to the RBC and WBC, WBC and platelets are fewer in number. Now, the color of plasma is pale yellow, that is straw color. Color of WBC is colorless, and platelets is also not red in color. Only the RBC is red in color when it takes the oxygen. Then, why does the blood appears to be red in color? Because out of all the four components present in the blood, only the RBC is red in color. Have you ever thought of it? Why does the blood appears as red in color? Okay, think over it. Okay, so let's see here now. Actually, in the blood is actually a colloidal solution. So the blood actually, if we observe, so all the different corpuscles, that is the RBC, WBC and platelets, they lie embedded on the fluid which is called as the plasma. And although the different cells are embedded in that straw yellow colored or pale yellow colored fluid, but it appears red in color because RBC is a lot of RBC is actually present there. Numerous RBCs are present there as compared to WBC and platelets, and also the size of the RBC is very small as compared to the rest of the blood corpuscles. That is why the blood appears as red, but actually only the RBCs are only red. Since the amount of RBC is huge in the blood as compared to the rest, so the entire blood, it appears to be red in color. Flow of blood through the heart. So how much is the size of the heart? The size of the heart is as big as a fist. Okay. So how much is my fist? That much is that is actually the size of my heart. Okay. Now, what is the function of the heart? The function of the heart is to pump the blood. Okay. Why it is required to pump the blood? Okay. In your homes, we all know that water is found below the below this topmost layer of the earth. So if you go deeper, so we will find there groundwater. But is it possible for us to take out the water directly whenever we feel thirsty? No. So at homes, generally we have water pumps. So water pumps are fitted in our homes in order to pump the water from underground so that it is easily available for us. Likewise, the blood comes and then it enters the heart, so that the heart pumps the blood, and when the heart pumps the blood, the blood can move either to the lungs or it can reach each and every part of the body wherever necessary. Okay. Now let's see this. So human heart is divided into 4 chambers. That is what? These two are called as the atrium and these two are called as the ventricles. Now, which is left and which is right, how we will know? So generally this is the picture of the heart. So generally if I read the book in this way, this is my right hand. So this part, we'll feel that this part is the right part of the heart and this is my left hand. So this part is the left part of the heart. So we normally have the tendency when we see things, but in biology, whenever you see the diagrams, always place the things in this way. Okay. When you place the things in this way, this is my right hand. So this is the right part of the heart. This is my left hand. So this is the left part of the heart. Okay. So now, the carbon dioxide rich blood, I have already discussed that all veins carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein which carries oxygenated blood, and all arteries carry pure blood or oxygen rich blood except pulmonary artery which carries deoxygenated or carbon dioxide rich blood. So from where or how is that carbon dioxide produced? Carbon dioxide is produced as a result of the aerobic respiration taking place within the human being. So about that we will I'll explain in detail in the respiration part. Okay. So because of the process of aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide is produced as a waste material, and that carbon dioxide is harmful for us. So that carbon dioxide has to be collected from each and every part of the body and it has to be brought into the heart. So there are 2 pathways there to the heart. One is this is the vena cava from the lower body and this is the vena cava from the upper body. So carbon dioxide that was produced, it is transported through the RBC. RBC contains hemoglobin. So the hemoglobin mainly, so of course it is transported through the plasma and others also, but mainly carbon dioxide is produced by the RBC. So inside the RBC there is the hemoglobin. That hemoglobin it carries the carbon dioxide. First, the blood in the capillaries, it comes and then gives that deoxygenated blood to the venules. Then from the venules it goes to the veins. From the veins it goes into the vena cava. Then through the vena cava it is entering the right atrium. Okay. Now that carbon dioxide rich blood, so I have already discussed that since it is carbon dioxide rich blood is passing through the veins here, so the color is bluish green. Okay. So that is why you see here this part I have colored a bit. This side I have put the red color, but this side is blue. It is not simply actually. So that means this part is drawn in blue because this side carries this side only deoxygenated blood or carbon dioxide rich blood passes, and through this side oxygen rich blood passes. So here if you see deoxygenated blood or carbon dioxide rich blood from each and every part of the body, it enters the right atrium. Okay. It enters the right atrium, then from the right atrium it goes into the right ventricle. Then in the right ventricle, this right ventricle squeezes or contracts. Then the blood from this right ventricle, it has 2 pathways to go. Either it can go backwards from where it came, or it has to go through this tube, and then that is these two give rise to the pulmonary arteries. Okay, so here you see, so that is why in order to prevent backflow of blood from the ventricle to the atrium, so these two are called as valve, or it is like a gate. So this particular valve or this gate closes. As this particular valve or this gate closes, so the blood cannot enter the atrium, but it goes through the through this pipe and then it goes to the pulmonary arteries. So I've already told that pulmonary arteries carry deoxygenated blood or carbon dioxide rich blood. And since the word pulmonary is there, so from here we can just understand that it is associated with the lungs. That means this carbon dioxide rich blood, it goes back to the lungs. Okay, so what happens inside the lungs? So about that we'll discuss in detail in the respiration part. So I will just tell in brief now. In the lungs, carbon dioxide is given out and oxygen is taken in by the process of diffusion. So the blood carrying carbon dioxide is released there inside the lungs because of diffusion, because since the concentration of carbon dioxide is more inside the capillaries as compared to the amount of oxygen present inside the alveoli of the lungs, so the carbon dioxide diffuses out and the oxygen concentration of oxygen is more inside the alveoli than in the capillaries, so it comes back there. So if you have not understood about that, we will explain in detail in the respiration part. Okay, now just keep that in mind, that after the carbon dioxide rich blood reaches the lungs, so by the process of diffusion, exchange of gases take place. Carbon dioxide is given out and oxygen is taken in, and that blood containing oxygen, it comes back into the heart, because that blood is rich in oxygen, but it cannot reach each and every part of the body by itself. So it has to come back to the heart, and when the heart will pump the blood, so it can reach each and every part of the body. So that oxygen rich blood from the heart, it has come and then it has entered the pulmonary veins. So it will come and it will enter the pulmonary veins. After entering the pulmonary veins, it enters the left atrium. This is the left atrium. Then similarly, like this way only, from the left atrium, this blood will enter the left atrium. Then from here again, it will come to the left ventricle. So since this side oxygen rich blood comes, so that is why the color of the blood will be red, and this side the color of the blood will be bluish green, since it was carrying carbon dioxide. So again, when this ventricle was had contracted, so the blood can either pass through this particular tube, okay, through this particular tube, or it has to it might go back from where it has come. So again, to prevent backflow of blood, another valve is present here, and this valve or gate gets closed, and because of that the blood cannot enter the left atrium, but it has to go through the aorta, and then from this aorta it will go to the arteries, then from the arteries it will go to the arterioles, then from the arterioles it will go to the capillaries, where again that oxygen is supplied for the process of aerobic respiration, and this cycle continues. Okay, so I hope it is clear till here. If it is not, then you can just ask your doubts in the comment section below. Okay, now, okay, so during this process, how many times did the blood enter the heart? The blood entered the heart twice. Okay, since the blood enters the heart 2 times, once it enters here, it comes to right atrium, then right ventricle, then from here it goes to the pulmonary arteries, then from the pulmonary arteries to the lungs, then from the lungs again through the pulmonary veins it comes into the left atrium, from the left atrium again to the left ventricle, then from the left ventricle again it goes to the aorta. So since it enters the heart 2 times, once through this way, then again it comes back and enters the heart again. That is why circulation in human being is called as double circulation. Okay, and one more thing, so we have noticed that to prevent backflow of blood, first this particular valve was closed, next this particular valve is closed. Okay, so this particular closing of the valves is heard as 2 sounds, and it is generally heard in biology is called as lub-dub. Okay, so this is actually nothing but the sound of the heartbeat. So Can you now connect with the thing? While we run and all, why do we breathe faster? Okay, while doing exercise or while running and all, we breathe faster because during running or any kind of exercise, we need more and more amount of energy, and that energy is supplied by aerobic respiration. In case of aerobic respiration, the oxygen is used to break down the digested food particles like glucose in order to liberate the energy. So since it requires more and more amount of oxygen, that is why the circulation of blood through the heart, it increases so that it can supply the body with more amount of oxygen. That is why our heartbeats become faster when we do any kind of... Okay, so let's revise what's the pathway here. Carbon dioxide rich blood is collected from the body, then it enters the right atrium through the vena cava, then from the right atrium to the right ventricle, then from the right ventricle into the pulmonary arteries, then from the pulmonary arteries to the lungs, then lungs to the pulmonary veins, from the pulmonary veins to the left atrium, from the left atrium to the left ventricle, then to the aorta, then goes to arteries, then arterioles, then capillaries, then to all parts of the body. You just have a look at the longitudinal section of the heart, as well as you see the pathways from where the blood is going and then from where it goes out. Okay. Since the blood enters the heart twice in case of human beings, that is why the circulation in human beings is called as double circulation. Fishes and amphibians, single circulation is seen. So here the blood flows through the heart only once in case of reptiles and fishes. In the fishes, the dissolved oxygen in the water, it enters the mouth of the fish through this way, and then this part is called as the operculum. So the water, it passes out through the operculum. So beneath the operculum there are certain gills. So beneath the operculum, if we remove this operculum, so there are certain gills, and in those gills we find it is highly vascularized. So with the help of the gills, the fishes breathe. So as the water along with the dissolved oxygen, it enters the mouth of the fish and then comes out through the operculum. So the capillaries present in the gills, they take in the oxygen and give out the carbon dioxide by the process of diffusion. That is how. So next we come to what is called as the blood pressure. So blood pressure is nothing but it is the pressure given by blood on the different blood vessels. So as the oxygen rich blood comes out of the heart and then it enters the aorta, it enters the arteries. So a huge amount of pressure is applied on that, and because of that the aorta or the arteries, its wall is thick as well as elastic. So pressure happens because of two reasons: because of the systole as well as diastole of the heart. Systole means what? Compressing the heart is called as systole, and relaxation of the heart is called as diastole. So as the heart is contracted, the normal pressure, it should be 120 millimeter of mercury, and when the heart relaxes, another pressure and that pressure is 80 millimeter of mercury. So the pressure of a person is said to be normal if he has the pressure 120 by 80 millimeter of mercury. If he has more than this, if the systolic pressure is more or even the diastolic pressure is more, then the person is said to suffer from high pressure. And if the systolic pressure or the diastolic pressure, that means if it is around in place of 120 by 80, if it is 100 by 70 and all, so that means the person is having low pressure. And if the person has suppose 120 by 90, then that person is said to have high pressure. So the blood pressure is measured by an instrument called as sphygmomanometer. Okay, now let's come to another type of fluid which is also involved in transportation in case of human beings, that is called as the lymph. So lymph is what? It is nothing but through the pores present in the walls of the capillaries, some amount of plasma, proteins and blood cells escape into the intercellular spaces in the tissues to form the tissue fluid or the lymph. It is similar to the plasma of blood but colorless and contains less protein. So through the walls of the capillaries, I have already said that capillaries are as thin as the strand of the hair. So through the small pores of the capillaries, these some amount of plasma or proteins and blood cells escape into the intercellular spaces in the tissues to form tissue fluid or lymph. So that is called as the lymph, and lymph is almost similar to plasma of blood but is colorless and also contains less protein. So the function of lymph is to carry digested and absorbed fat from the intestine and drains excess fluid from extracellular space back into the blood. What are the components of the transport system in human beings? It is already discussed. I hope so you will be able to answer. Next, why is it necessary to separate oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in mammals and birds? So, it is necessary to separate oxygenated as well as deoxygenated blood in the mammals and birds because birds and mammals require constant use of energy to maintain their body temperature. So, unlike the birds or reptiles, the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood is separated. So with this, we have come to an end of today's class. So if there is any confusion or any doubt regarding any topic that was discussed today, you can just write down your doubts in the comment section below. And if you have understood, then don't forget to hit the like button. And to stay updated with my latest classes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.